Hello, for this latest Business Spotlight podcast, I'm joined by Pamela Phillips of DeJong Phillips accountancy firm. I hope I've got that right, Pamela.
Yeah, that's right. You got it right.
Welcome to the call. Pamela, we're going to explore a few things about your business that makes you different from the everyday typical accountancy firm. We'll get to that in a moment, but let's start by just asking you to tell us a little bit about what you do and who you do it for.
Okay, so hi, I'm Pam Phillips. I am the owner and founder of DeJong Phillips. So we're an accountancy firm that work with agencies and we work as their finance function. So we deliver everything you'd expect from an in-house finance team. We do it for our clients as sort of an outsourced function.
Okay, so two things jump out straight away there. The fact that you work with agencies and you also work on finance functions. Let's start with the agencies. Why is that a particular focus for you?
So we sort of our focus on agencies evolved because we naturally had a lot of agency clients because we were working with some, they referred us onto their contacts and our agency client base grew. And then we made a conscious decision probably 5 and 7 years ago to just work solely with agencies. And that's because we felt that we could bring a high level of expertise if we put all our efforts into really understanding those types of businesses and those types of the people that own those businesses and what their drivers are. So we made that call to just focus on agencies.
Okay, and you focus particularly, don't you, on empowering your clients. Share us a little bit about how you do that.
That's a really good question. I've not heard it described in that way, but that is exactly what we do. So we, as a starting point, we work with our clients to make sure they understand what their numbers are telling them and what their numbers even are, because it's surprising, or maybe not, it depends how close you are to work in small businesses, how often business owners don't have a clear handle on what their numbers are and what those numbers mean. So that's the starting point, empowering them with their data so they have clear data and clear insights from that data. So that's sort of one of the key things we do with our clients. But then we also work with them to look forward. So we use that data to project into the future and help them understand and plan their cash flow and their budget so that they can make better decisions.
There's 2 points there straight away that I want to pick up on, because without going with too broad a brushstroke, I think many business owners do rely on their accountants to tell them how their business has performed in the past. And sometimes that can be looking back over, quite a large period of time. And they also perhaps rely on their accountants to bring some meaning to the numbers. But you hit on that point there about business owners not really knowing their numbers, and that's an area where you step in. But then you went on to explain how important it was to look forward, to go cash flow forecasting, which I couldn't agree more with, should I say. How is it that, so what sort of training or what sort of support do you bring to business owners to help them understand their numbers? What sort of depth do you go into their numbers with them?
A lot of depth. So the starting point we come from is we know business owners often haven't got a finance background. So we educate them into what their numbers look like, what they mean. And that's a gradual process as we work with them. So for most of our clients, we give them management accounts. We send them a video talking through the numbers and explaining what each number means. And then we'll have a meeting to run through so what does that mean? What can we do? Because it's only mildly interesting to know what happened last year, last month. What's really interesting is to know what actions can I take to make a difference for the next month or to make sure I hit my future goals.
So Pam, as a business coach, I find that a lot of the businesses I work with, quite often they don't have a real grasp of their numbers. It's something that they're a bit unsure about, not having a financial background. How do you bridge the gap between what you need them to know and understand so that they can measure and improve, and what you can bring to them?
No, that's a good question. So we and like you, we do find that quite a lot of business owners, when they come to us, they don't have a firm handle on what their numbers are telling them or what they can do to improve them. So the starting point we have is we share with them, once we're confident their data quality is good, then we'll share with them management accounts, but we don't just send them management accounts. They get a video walking them through what everything on the management accounts means. And then we have a meeting, and that meeting is obviously to answer any questions of theirs, but also to look at, well, what next? What can we do to improve these numbers, or to make sure you're taking the right steps to hit your targets that you set, when you set your strategic plan or your budget for that year. So it does take, sorry.
No, I was going to say, you're very much making them look towards the future, aren't you? They're not just looking at historical performance, but what the numbers mean for them now and what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Because your business, like any business, if they look at the numbers, that gives them clues as to what are they doing. And we know as accountants what levers they can pull to make a difference to those numbers. And also, if you combine that with the forward-looking piece, and hopefully you've got like a budget or a forecast to track against, you can see if you're going to hit your targets, and if not, we can talk about what you can do to improve your chances of getting there.
I think that's really, really important. You bring technology to this as well, don't you?
Yeah, technology is absolutely key. Yeah.
Okay. And what sort of technology do you bring?
So as a very sort of basic starting point, Xero we use as the core, or the hub of the finance for our clients. So that's an accounting platform. And the reason we use that is because it's in the cloud primarily. It's very usable, and it plugs into a whole ecosystem of apps. So it can very much be a operating hub of a business. And because it's in the cloud, it means that we as our client's finance team can work alongside our clients, looking at the same data with no stop, download some information, send it, then everyone looking at different cuts of data. So by being in the cloud, we can be working on live data together and collaborating. And then we plug in, so that's the basic, and then we plug in tools like Dex to speed up invoice processing and bill processing. We plug in tools like Float to help with cash flow forecast, Sift to help with management reporting. So we've got a whole suite of tools that we have tried and tested, and we know works really well with agency clients and for the challenges they typically have.
And it feels as though you hold their hand through this as well, because you're basically, there's some level of accountability there, isn't there? You're saying, well, we're going to take you through this, we're going to show you how to use this in your business. And I'm presuming you meet regularly with them, either by virtually or in person.
Absolutely.
Do you offer, are there different sort of depths of packages of support depending on the agency or the type of work that they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So depending on, when we meet a client, we'll dig deep into where they are, where they want to get to, what challenges they're facing, and we will put to them, this is what we believe, as their finance advisor, what they believe they need from us. And that might be us doing everything for them, or it might be, depending on what stage of the journey they're at and what they can afford, what they want to spend on their finance function. It might be that they want to do some of the the work themselves, so in which case we would train them to do the work, and depending on how much we're doing versus how much they're doing, that would obviously affect the cost of the service. And what we've found is, typically, depending on where an agency is, or any business really is on their journey, their needs will be different, but they will probably encounter the same needs at roughly the same time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So you've explained very clearly what you do for them. I'd just like to look at it from the point of view of how you attract these clients in the first place. What pain point, if you like, brings them to you? What's your marketing strategy look like? So
we, I guess there's two things. Is what do we do to win clients, and the other is what brings them to us. So what brings them to us in terms of at the point that they decide they need a new accountant, it's usually, and there's like 5 reasons why someone might change their accountant, and the common 2 or 3, but the ones that we get told most often is, I don't know what my numbers look like. They're always so out of date. I don't really know where I stand. The second one is, I want a more proactive accountant, someone that's coming to me with ideas. And the third one is, I want someone to help me strategically. Like, I know I should be doing some more stuff, but I don't know what I should be doing or how I should be doing it. So I want someone with that finance nous to stand alongside me. So that's the real reasons people come to us. And usually the breaking point is they've just had like one error too many from their existing accountants, or one frustration. I mean, most people do come to us and they say, I really like my accountant. They're really nice. we've been with them a long time. They're a nice person, but they're just not, they're not helping me with my strategy or with tech or any of these other things I know my business needs. So that's the pain points that bring people to us. And the way we win clients mainly is referrals, because we just work with agencies, and because we're, our clients that we work with think highly of us, they recommend us. So that's the biggest way we win new clients, is through our existing clients and referrals. And then I do webinars and write blogs and and appear on panels and things talking about what we do.
It's interesting. You've obviously got very loyal customers, and they hold you in high regard as well, which often helps with the referral process or strategy. I often teach my clients that referrals need to be managed as well, and one needs to have a strategy for encouraging the referrals and various other things, which I'm sure that you're on. But it sounds as though you've taken advantage by being adaptable and fairly dynamic, where perhaps some of your competition has been slow, and the whole accountancy sort of environment is changing very slowly. Is that something that you recognize? Do you see competition growing for you, or just more opportunities you go forwards?
I think it's a really mixed bag. I think I'm in a bit of a bubble. So I'm part of a community of really forward-thinking accountants. So there's other firms doing similar to what we do, but there's really not that many of us. It feels like there's a lot because that's who I'm talking to. But when we look out at the broader market, I think something like 90% of accountants are not fully digital. They still might be dealing with paper records or desktop software. So we've got a huge number of accountants in the industry that really are what you would call traditional accountants, that speak to their clients once a year or maybe 4 times a year for their VAT returns and their tax returns, but they're not hands-on, and they're not bringing all the finance function and the finance services that businesses need to them. And then you've got a sort of a group at the forefront of changing things, and I consider ourselves one of those. I think there's more and more firms like that. More firms are moving from traditional to forward thinking. But they're not all going to get there. A lot of the more traditional firms, the partners will retire, the practices will be sold, and we haven't got the interest or the energy to totally revamp their business. And the more forward thinking ones are typically, what I'm seeing, more dynamic startups that are then being acquired by bigger firms that want to.
Oh, okay. And that could be interesting, because they might either encourage their philosophy or they may discourage it on acquiring them. That's Pam, it's been fascinating. You've given us an insight into the industry, not just from the point of view of what you do, but also through your clients' eyes as well, which has been really interesting. It's a fast-moving space for some, as you say, and you've clearly got a niche that you're supporting your clients to know their numbers. I think there's an awful lot of lessons there, and I think it's going to make some interesting watching going forward. So thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.